deal with your emotions while manifesting. So letting go of what's happening in the 3D is going to be really critical with this. And I know the 3D can be very inviting sometimes. You're going to hear stuff that is so counter to what you're wanting. However, if you look closely, what you're experiencing is related to previous thinking. One thing that I always tell myself, whenever I'm feeling like pulled into the 3D, what I'm seeing right now is not indicative of the future. It is indicative of where my thinking was. So what really matters right now is where my thinking is now. I can let it recede into the past, just sit there and live in all the old shit I thought that I'm now experiencing in my 3D. Or I can be like, oh, that's where this came from. Okay, you go the fuck over here because I don't want to deal with you. And I'm going to invest my thoughts wisely into a better future, into a better manifestation of what I'm wanting. I routinely do this. And as I do it, things change. And you don't need to think that you have to wait for another day for it to change. I have had many times where I caught myself being like, oh shit, this is going to be a bad day. And I'm like, wait, no, that's me projecting that into that. I'm going to change that shit now. And I'm like, nope, we're done with the bad day. It's starting good now. This is how it's going to go. These good things are going to happen. Everything good works out for me. Blah, 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 blah. I start just affirming whatever it is I'm afraid of at that moment. And I really put some conviction into it and I go with it. And then it changes. Sometimes within minutes. Like, the state you're in is what matters. So if you're getting triggered, just disempower them by realizing you created it. It really does not serve you to keep yourself hurting from it when you've already lived it before in your mind. It's just now the replay of it in the 3D. So ignore that shit. Like, I know it's hard and it feels like you shouldn't do it. It feels so irresponsible sometimes. But if you really conceptualize manifestation and realize that all you're seeing right now was from your old shit, it makes no sense for you to go back into it. It makes total sense from a manifestation standpoint to go forward, go into the new story and live there. Like, do what you got to do to keep yourself safe and everything in the 3D, but don't get so wrapped up in it that it consumes every thought that you have. You don't have to protect yourself from it. Like, you really don't. It seems like you do, but take your focus away from it and the problem will go away so fast. So that's basically how I try to deal with the emotions with it. Like, I just realize that it's not as important as I'm trying to tell myself it is. And I have an easier time, I guess, sometimes tuning out from it. Not always. Like, believe me, I react sometimes too. And it's not fun. But I notice when I react and when I really give power over to it, sometimes I get more of it. Sometimes I don't. If I can actually calm myself down and work through it and be like, all right, what I'm thinking now is what matters. And I really sit in that and I watch it. And sometimes my mind just all of a sudden goes into some bullshit again. And I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, what are we doing right now? I said we're done with this story. And I meant it. Sometimes you gotta just kind of bitch slap yourself across the face and be like, we done with this. You can't sit in all that crap. Like, it's okay to have a bad thought. It is not okay for you to sit there and just live in it day after day after day. That will be what keeps you from getting where you want to be. Don't expect to not have a bad thought once in a while. Don't expect to not have problems. Like, I don't think that's realistic at all. And if you're thinking that, that's part of the problem. You don't have to be perfect with this. But you do need to be consistent with it. If you are consistently going back to the new story and letting it feel real, then you're doing good. If you're more consistently going back to the old and you're just like sprinkling little bits of the other in there, you're just sprinkling a little bit in there and it's getting stirred up and it gives you like a couple moments of good and then a bunch of the bad. And that's not going to work very well. Like, if you really get honest with yourself, what you're experiencing now is the most consistent product of everything that's been going. Sometimes I can't talk. But what you're experiencing has just been a product of what you've really been dominantly thinking. You just got to change that. You just got to change it. So, I hope this helped you. Love you.